everyone, I'm Jerry Bonds. Coming up on this very special edition of Oklahoma City Metro, I sit down with one of our state's truly remarkable talents. With her brilliant soprano, she took the opera world by storm in 1973. She's here to share her story about growing up in Enid, singing in her father's church, traveling the world, and winning nearly every accolade possible for one performer. A visit with Oklahoma's own legendary diva, Leona Mitchell, next on Oklahoma City Metro. Thanks for joining us. If you love pure, powerful, exquisite talent, you'll be glad you joined us today. We're devoting the entire half hour to a very special woman. She grew up in Enid, Oklahoma, one of 15, yes, I said 15 children. She had a big voice even then and burst upon the world stage in the 1973 production of Carmen at the prestigious San Francisco Opera Company. Her lyrico-spinto soprano is brilliant and captivating. There just aren't enough adjectives to describe the beautiful, powerful voice possessed by this classic woman. She is diva-esque in all the good kinds of ways, and I am so very proud to welcome the wonderful Leona Mitchell.
Thank you, Jerry. What accolades you've given me.
Well,
Thank
I can't
you.
tell you how excited and honored we are to have you here today. And I know that it was hard for me to know where to begin, because we could begin with the world-renowned Leona Mitchell. Yes. But I would like to begin with Leona Mitchell, the toddler in the early 50s, growing up in Enid, Oklahoma. Number 10 of 15 children, right?
Yes, yes.
Can you roll back the memories a little bit?
I can. I think some of the first memories was of the amount of dishes that we consumed in one day, and the knowledge that I was going to have to take part and do my part and wash some of those dishes.
I bet.
I'm the 10th of the 15 children. So I had elder sisters and brothers who were doing all of that, and I just felt put upon. You mean I have to wash all of those dishes? It seemed like it was a room full of dishes. You know, it would have been before we would have had dishwashers and things. So my dad always told my mom, well, I have you 15 dishwashers. What do we need a dishwasher? So I can remember that, and I remember that the 10 boys, we had this home, and we had another segment of the house that was just for the boys. They had their own home, really.
Wow.
So they had the captain over there that would be over cleaning and all of that. It was such a flurry of activity going on.
Now, you mentioned your parents. Your mom was Pearl Olive.
Mitchell, yes.
And your dad, how do you say his name?
His name is Hewlin. It's so unusual. I've never heard anybody else name that.
And he was a minister.
Yes, he was. He was born in Purcell, Oklahoma, and my mom was born in Kingfisher. They're Oklahomans.
But I read somewhere that he really had music in his bones.
Oh, my father, if he were a pop promoter, we would have been like the Jacksons or something, because we had every instrument in our home. He was a self-taught musician. He could play anything he picked up, a saxophone, guitars, anything. And so he taught his eldest 6 or 7 children to sing gospel music. And they went on tours through Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas.
Was that the musical Mitchells?
The musical Mitchells.
Okay, weren't you part of that group?
Well,
too?
I was the later part, and we were the diluted. The original ones were the ones that really took part and went around and did things. As a matter of fact, there's a story. My eldest brother, when they were practicing, told me as a kid, and it may have spurred me on to be a professional. I was listening to them, and he said, "Oh, you can't sing, Leona." And he said, I was so hurt. I didn't even remember this story. He said, but I think there was a seed in you that day that said, I'm going to show you.
What does that brother say today?
He's astounded. but yeah, he said, scamper off. You can't sing with us. But
all right. Now, as the musical Mitchells, you sang primarily gospel music.
Yes, yes.
And you and I were at a Christmas party not too long ago, and my husband grew up in a gospel quartet, too. So I know how much a part of you that becomes.
Oh, gosh, it was everything.
And I'm going to ask you to do me a favor right now. Do everybody a favor. Would you just pick one of your favorite?
Well, I'll pick one that my dad always had me sing when I came back. It's How Great Thou Art.
Oh.
He made me sing it every time. Okay. Oh, Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made.
That sends chills up my spine. I mean, each one of us has memories connected to a hymn like that.
Yes,
and
yes.
I'm sure you remember being in church. And
Just constantly, yes. It was a big part of our life. My dad was a minister, so we were always there.
All right, let's jump to high school, because there is, in most of our lives, a teacher that affects eternity for us.
Yes.
And you had one who really introduced you to opera.
Oh, yes. Her name was Maureen Preby. And she physically came and got me every morning to teach me opera. And I sang from OETA in high school. She taught it to me, and she told me that if you would just go with me and promise me that you will go to OCU and just audition for me, because I wanted to go elsewhere. I wanted to be in education and things.
Really?
So I was a very good student. And so for her, I came to OCU and auditioned. And it was history after that for me, because Inez Silberg here in Oklahoma City, she went out of the room. I had no idea how auditions went, and I thought, well, I didn't get anything. But she came back with a whole music department, and she said, there are no scholarships for kids here. This girl is from 15. There's no money. We have to find the money for her. And I found out later through Tom McDaniels, that I was the first recipient of a voice scholarship from OCU.
Oh.
Yes.
And what did Mrs. Preby do?
She was beyond, she was just too excited. And her husband, as a matter of fact, was a big lawyer in Enid. And he used to drive me through Nichols Hills, and he said, with your voice, someday you're going to have a house like this. Isn't that some encouragement?
Oh, yeah. So. And then this teacher was able, she lived long enough to see you through your career?
Oh, yes, through the Met, performing at the Met. She didn't like to fly, but she flew to the Met, and she sat there, and as the chandelier went up, as I was singing an opera, she said she couldn't help it. She cried all night. Oh. Because she was just amazed that she saw me as this little kid at 16 that she worked hard with to scale that and becoming a Metropolitan Opera singer.
What a great story.
Yes.
All right, we're going to move to that career a little bit, which is staggering. I mean, I truly do not know how to cover it all. But we mentioned in the introduction your debut in San Francisco.
Right.
And then just tell me, how you skyrocketed from there.
Yeah,
it was at a very young age.
At a very young age. It was very interesting. At San Francisco, I won a big contest, and that introduced me to some of the intendants around America. And I think as a young singer, that's what you have to be heard in order for people to hire you. I went to Juilliard, and that's when I exploded, because I went to New York, and New York press heard me. And from 1 year at being at Juilliard doing an opera, La Boheme, I was asked, could I come to the Met the next year? It was that amazing, because normally that's not how it happens. You have to usually go and do your duty in Europe, and then they ask you to come. But I was asked to do Micaela at the Met, and then from then on I was there for 18 years. 18
seasons.
18 years,
at the Met.
Yes.
And when you look at all of those 18 seasons, what's it's not even fair for me to ask, but what stands out?
Yeah, I absolutely sang with everyone that you could sing with at the Met, because everybody wants to be there. But some of the exciting things toward the end of that 18th season was making new productions with Luciano Pavarotti and Placido Domingo and Jose Carreras, and having them put out on DVD. For posterity. So those were some of the really highlights for me.
What was it like to work with those gentlemen?
Well, I started out with them before even the Met. We were in San Francisco doing things together, and I was just such a young kid.
Was it intimidating?
Oh, yeah, well, it was, but I had my head on me so strong. They used to always say, well, that Leona, you can't get at her. I think we talked a little earlier about how flirty Luciano was.
Oh, yes. I remember when he came to Oklahoma City. Yeah.
And as a young girl, you just cannot imagine all the attention they put on you. Yeah. But he kept saying, you're such a strong cookie, aren't you, Leona?
He was probably very surprised.
He was. But they just really respected me and my talent. And Luciano, as a matter of fact, with his dad and things, they used to talk to me and tell me what I had. And So really, really, really great colleagues.
Besides the Met,